All right, everyone, it's time for the March 10th primary analysis, the fallout from Bernie Sanders' next tiger fucking, which is what happened. He lost bigly. Cenk must be on his third gin at this point. Yeah, I mean, he openly proclaimed yesterday, well, Michigan is a big thing. This is sort of the make or break moment. Well, yeah, Bernie Sanders lost Michigan. He lost at least 4 states. I woke up and, I suspected that would be the case. That's what I predicted. He may even pull off a 5th upset there. Washington State is still too close to call as we speak the next day. Biden could actually walk away with it. You still get, I think 30% of the actual votes to tally up, and the gap is only about a point, so it is within the margin there. We could see that go for Biden. If Biden wins a 5th state, if the only thing Bernie Sanders managed to win was fucking North Dakota, is the writing at that point not on the wall? At some point, you got to say, maybe great-grandpa needs to take a break. Maybe he needs to drop out, but I doubt that'll happen. Sanders will wait till the last minute and embezzle as much money from the gullible as possible, like he always does, and then tell him no refunds. By the way, we've been fighting against the establishment, but we must defeat Trump, so I'm endorsing Joe Biden, the establishment candidate. I'm going to endorse the dude who's been in neoliberal politics since the 70s, worked with segregationists. Oh, isn't that going to go over so well with his fans? And he's going to endorse. There's an outside chance he says, fuck it. I've been schlonged again. I'm never going to be able to embezzle even more money from people and transfer the U.S. into socialism and destroy it. Oh, Uncle Stalin, I have failed you at my infiltration attempt. And then he finally just says, fuck it, and refuses to endorse. That'd be funny. Anyway, I'm going to take you through the raw numbers here. Some people are into that. Michigan, Joe Biden with 52.9%, of course, winning. In a 2-man race, Bernie Sanders coming in at a big 36.5% in a state that he won, by the way, very handily in 2016. Whoops, he's not looking like a revolution there. Could it be that those inner city voters decided that they didn't want an elderly socialist leading them because they're tired of far-left policies? No, it's more like everybody else in the goddamn state probably solidified against Sanders because they're goddamn tired of his bullshit snake oil not accomplishing anything. He's the face of D.C. He's been there since 1992 or something like that in Congress. Missouri, with its 68 delegates. Joe Biden winning with 60.1% of the vote. Sanders, again, 34.6%. I'm seeing a trend. It seems like somewhere in the mid to upper 30s is his ceiling here. Mississippi. This is a big one. Arguably, this is the story of the night and not Michigan. Michigan was like, well, at least if the polls were to be believed, we'd expect Biden to win. Mississippi. Joe Biden with 81% of the vote. 81%. Now, I realize that his strength has always been in the South, but this is different from the margins on Super Tuesday. Bernie Sanders, 14.9. He didn't even hit the 15% threshold. In a 2-man race, he can't even get any delegates. In a 2-man race. Talk about tiger fucked. There's got to be a term stronger than that one at some point in the future for Florida, by the way. And now Idaho, the one that surprises me a little bit. Biden managed to actually win this 48.9% to 42.5%. Sanders can't even maintain his western bulwarks. The western states were almost all going for Sanders, leaving Biden to run the field elsewhere, but that was Sanders basically saving face. Usually, a viable candidate does not start losing in their core region in a race that's been narrowed down to 2 or 3 people until fairly late on, when it becomes clear that somebody else is irrevocably ahead. That's usually what happens. Meanwhile, Washington State, with 67% of the votes tallied right now, Sanders is ahead by 1.2, so it's still too close to call. That could very well switch to Biden. He could get a 5th state. North Dakota, it hasn't been called yet, but the writing's on the wall. 77% of the votes counted. Sanders has 48.4 to 42.3. I'm going to hazard a guess that Sanders has managed to win a state, which I'm sure is very, very happy to Bernie Sanders and to his dwindling number of fans, it seems. Bernie Sanders has a problem. And his problem, I'll tell you what the 2 main problems have been. The first one is sheer optics. He's an old dude. He's kind of derpy and awkward. And he just had a heart attack. That doesn't look good. Now, obviously, Biden has a similar problem. He's had several aneurysms, and he does have cognitive decline. Calling it a conspiracy theory that that's the case is totally stupid. It's obvious if you look at footage of him from now versus footage from 5 to 10 years ago. He has cognitive decline. Don't fucking bullshit me. Don't be an asshole your entire life. You know it and everybody else knows it. Just like Epstein didn't kill himself. With Bernie Sanders, though, the bigger thing, he's not used to having to deal with normal people. He's used to having to get elected by talking to people in Burlington as mayor for, 20 years, or as a senator or congressman from Vermont, which means his district being the whole state, by the way. There's only one representative from the state of Vermont. In other words, the only time he's won a campaign in his whole life has been among far-left echo chambers. Vermont, up until now, oddly enough, it looks like in the primaries things might be switching in the other direction. Hell, look at Maine. If you look at some of the polling and matchups with Trump, Trump could actually win parts of New England for a change. Bernie Sanders is not used to having to go onto a national stage and appeal to people on a national... because he's a fanatic. You see, in Vermont, it doesn't matter if you call yourself a socialist. It doesn't matter if you say, well, I'm the ice cream socialist. Don't worry, I'm a democratic socialist. I'm like those Norwegians up there. I'm not like Venezuela, which is bullshit. It's all a bunch of goddamn word games. I see through it, and anyone else with a ninth grade understanding of basic civics understands that, but apparently he's managed to find a lot of people who don't. But that doesn't... Here's the thing. Getting elected in Vermont's not the same as being voted for by someone in Mississippi. You can't sit there alienating people with your fiscal plan and expect to be nominated. The problem is that Bernie Sanders felt compelled to go very, very far left. If he was far left in 2016, he went further in 2020. Probably because he figured, well, I'm going to drag the party to the left, snap back a little bit towards the end, and then I'll have the nomination. Well, it didn't work because too many people got involved. Too many weirdos. Too many Yang pushing his communism, his UBI. Elizabeth Warren stealing his entire campaign, basically. I don't think that he accounted for the possibility that this person would come in and pretend to be the sane progressive sort of candidate. I'm the safe revolutionary. Bernie's the dangerous one. Vote for me. I don't think he expected Bloomberg to get into the race and distract him. I think that he wanted to keep talking about his core issues. He got distracted, honestly. Bernie Sanders destroyed himself. Now, of course, his fans will say, well, the establishment fixes in. They were always going to schlong him. That's funny because there was a lot of bravado for a long time there in which you said, oh, Bernie's got this in the bag. That's funny. For months you told me that. Bernie's out of nowhere. Bernie got Iowa. Bernie destroys everyone. Ha ha, Führer Bernie. Comrade Bernie. Well, where's the revolution, dude? I'm not seeing it televised. It's not because I don't have a television. It's because there's no revolution. The revolution's not televised. It's also not on the radio. It's not on your fucking podcast. The only place you have a revolution at this point is on Tumblr and the echo chamber of Twitter and parts of Reddit. That's your revolution. So places that were far left to begin with. Much like Sanders wins places that are far left to begin with. Or places that are exceedingly rural, white, and far right. Which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense when you think about it, but that's the way that it's been. What revolution? He just got tiger fucked. Loses in Michigan, loses in Mississippi, loses in Missouri. By the way, you can say, and I see Bernie Sanders fans doing this, you can say, well, those bumpkins in Mississippi don't know what they're talking about. What about Michigan? Michigan's not exactly a far-right state now, is it? Washington State leans blue at this point, too close to call. Joe Biden managing to run away with an extra state potentially with Idaho, which I didn't even expect he'd win. Nope, there'll be no revolution. The socialists have been pretty much swept aside at this point. Good riddance. Socialism should never be allowed to hold court even in a political party, let alone the country. We shouldn't even let it have a toehold within a political movement. No, we should smash socialism like we used to understand that we had to stop the Red Menace. Yeah, we should go back to that. Have a little civic pride. Uplift our fellow man, work hard, and mind your own goddamn business, and government's not your friend. Those are the ethos we should live by, not this free candy shtick of Bernie Sanders. He's making you promises he can't fulfill anyway. He is. Of course he would have to raise the middle-class tax rates to pay for his plans. Any idiot knows this. You have to be an idiot not to realize that. It's simply not going to happen. And Bernie Sanders is not going to be the Dem nominee, which I think is quite wonderful. Okay, there's an exception. Let's say in the next debate he totally toasts Joe Biden and Joe Biden has an aneurysm or something. But is that likely? They've been debating before. They keep sparring. They always break even because they've got their hardened fan bases. Sanders' fan base considers it terrible if Joe Biden gets questioned on Iraq or something. He looks like a loser. And Joe Biden fans, when Sanders gets egged on to say something far left, he looks like a loser to them. Do I expect the debate to move the metrics? No. I expect it to mean absolutely goddamn nothing. That's about all. Peace out.